And so the rebel Hounds motorcycle club, which had been invited to the city of Los Santos, had finally finished its campaign of violence. Having overcome many obstacles in its path, the Hounds, beset by many enemies, now closes its saga in San Andreas, triumphant over its enemies and forever changing the state again.
The uneasy peace with the rebel Hounds served only to divide Condemned. Trixie had hoped that maybe pushing Condemned into a fight with the Hounds could perhaps earn their club respect. Afraid, however, after what had happened the last several times it had fought with the rebel Hounds, decided to kick out their vice president instead, pushing her away in pursuit of peace, marking a great rift in the internal politics of Condemned, crumbling in the wake of their weakness and fading away into irrelevance, whilst the rebel Hounds took dominion over the northern counties, removing any sign of their pitiful existence.
With the rest of the city falling to MS-13, Daps & Co. thought that the new motorcycle club, the Rebel Hounds, would be easy picking. Daps was wrong. After several attempts to talk the Hounds into working for them, violence erupted almost instantly. MS-13, having the most guns in the city, couldn't understand how a new organization with pistols, bats, and knives could do so much damage. MS-13 conceded their attempts to subjugate the Hounds and tried to get other gangs to fight them, revealing their weakness to the city. With MS-13 being defeated and opposed, their tributaries rebelled against them. Daps had no choice but to call John for help, hoping that the Hounds would forgive the earlier attempts to lord over them. John laughed and hanged up, marking the end of MS-13 in the city of Vital and the Hounds' expansion into former MS-13 territories, establishing themselves as one of the big three, removing MS-13 from the chessboard entirely.
After the Hounds' victory on MS-13, there was a brief period of peace. Wu, looking at the conflict, sought the rebel Hounds to form a potential alliance to take over DG and MS-13 territories. Unfortunately for Wu, the Hounds were not interested in an alliance, but offered trade instead, which Wu found humiliatingly insulting. Secretly siding with MS-13, their benefactors provided them with guns and money to try and do what they could not. Wu had a couple of good fights at the beginning, but victory soon turned sour. The rebel Hounds quickly turned the tables on them, gradually eroding their will to fight, hunting them across the city wherever they hid, going as far as hitting their compound. Bit by bit, Wu fractured, Silas, the first leader, disappearing, and me trying to pick up the pieces. What could I do? I have never led a gang before. It was my idea, after all, to ally with them. What a mistake we made. After a month and a half of fighting, I decided to disband Wu and join DG. If you can't beat them, make sure they can't find you. Isn't that what they say these days?
The rebel Hounds were sweeping through the map. I told Han that we should try to stay out of the fighting. Thankfully, he agreed. Han's words to the president were that we didn't want to be swept by the Red Menace conquering the West. Friendship and diplomacy achieved what sword and arrogance could not. Being chilling, glory to China, glory to the Rock. Wait, aren't those Japanese? Oh well, glory to Ronin and the rebel Hounds.
When the Lost arrived here, we thought that we could make an empire. Under our President Axel, things were looking up until MS-13 started forcing us to make their drugs in exchange for protection. I wasn't a part of the first group of Lost that arrived here, but I've heard the stories. I had hoped that once I took over the sergeant position that I could take the club out of the despair, but I was wrong. After the Hounds had finished with MS-13 and pushed back Wu, we tried to talk to them, negotiate. Things looked up, and for a time I really thought we were finally making progress, yet there was 2 roadblocks. The Hounds wanted some of our territory, and they called my president a pussy. I had to let it slide. In return, they gave us time. Time. I wish we had more of it. The time came to talk to the Hounds again, but our new president, Jax, was not around for the past 2 weeks. I had to make a decision. I panicked. I did not want the Lost to be disrespected again from one master to another. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I did the right thing. Their president seemed to think so. Tomasz Pike, but it didn't stop what came next. Now the Lost is no more. I'm a cowboy in the middle of a ranch, far, far away from Los Santos, hoping to never relive this nightmare again.
After their victories all over Los Santos, we knew we were next. Now I'd be damned if I was gonna let anyone fuck me harder than I fucked myself. Hell's Sonny been doing just a good enough job as it is while Granny watches, but the Hounds, boy oh boy.
Hold on, Blaze. I think you are getting too overboard spilling club business like this. Let me continue. Hi, name's Sonny, Vice President of the Fallen Woos. Carrying on from a prez here, we done fucked up, I tell you. We offered the Hounds $350,000, but they said they didn't want it. Said some stuff about respect and that we were too goofy to call ourselves bikers. Now I know Blaze is a bit cuckoo, but I'm all 100% tough and rough. When one of the rebels called us to do a meeting, I ain't gonna lie, my pants turned a bit brown, but that is besides the point. We were knee-deep in a war with Ronan after they complimented my girl's ass. Now I know what you're thinking. How come we let the shit with the Hounds slide and started fighting over my girl's rear? Well, for one, Ronan didn't own more than half the fucking city. Fallen Wolves tried okay. We tried. We lost every fight and tried to hire B2A to take over the fighting for us, but that turned to shit real fast too when the Hounds killed one of their boys and they packed their bags, leaving us at square one. They are relentless. Every time I go to work, I can still hear the I'm a Single Furry song they found on my Prez Spotify. They robbed his phone and leaked that shit all over the internet. Not our proudest moment, but what can we do? We just tootin' here trying to survive. Thankfully, the Hounds got bored of us and moved on to DG. Wish they would have done that earlier, so we wouldn't have to give our Prez bike away. Either way, we are still here, but who knows for how long. Blaze won't stop howling in his office again. I'm getting real tired of this shit.
The Diamond Geezers have been running the city from the shadows since the start, thanks to Henry here being the governor of this shit. We never had to worry about things not going our way. Well, that is until it didn't. The Hounds made it clear with the other gangs that they weren't going to bow down to their whims. At first we thought this was just resistance. Time would unmake them just like it has with the other gangs. After all, we are the oldest and last standing gang from the old state. Yet, that wasn't what happened at all. They started in Sandy, moved to Grapeseed, took over all 3 counties after going against Condemned within their first week here. MS-13 in 3, Woo in a month, and bit by bit they finally arrived at us. We didn't know what to expect. We've heard the stories, seen the videos, but we didn't know them. How could we? We never went up north for anything, thought it would be more trouble than it was worth. But now they are here. After MS-13 fell apart, we sat down with them alongside Woo. A gentleman's agreement was what Henry put forward. We knew it was a lie, but the peace had to be maintained long enough to know what we were dealing with. 2-week ceasefire between the big 3 was the idea. It only took a week for it to be broken. Woo was gone. The Hounds had the whole of the north and nearly everything in Los Santos. We were next. So we tried to do a preemptive attack. Again, if you could believe it, it didn't work. Then peace again. We thought we could make it work this time, an honest deal. But it seems that the Hounds didn't buy it. If only we could have told them that this time we were honest. Bahama Mamas was having a grand opening. There was music, talking and shots. Lots and lots of shots. What the hell? Fuck. It's them again. Shit. Chad, you still alive? Nix? Henry? Fuck. It's just me now. Jimmy, I only have a pistol. They are coming in. If I'm gonna die, I might as well take some wit.
And so the Hounds Road in the state of San Andreas came to an end for now. Los Santos, Blaine County, and Palito Bay all subjugated, with most of the gangs having been put to the sword, as the power struggles for control of the city have finally come to an end. The Hounds now look upon new horizons, seeking an actual challenge in what will be known as the next great expansion, continuing as they have before, leaving this city a message that it would never forget. Cowards are never safe, liars will never prosper, and to turn on one's word is to be as good as dead. As the old saying goes, war never changes. Bitch.